guys, as promised, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick tutorial on how to set up a baitcaster reel so you can get the maximum distance out of it and try to avoid any backlashing or bird's nest. So there's a whole science behind actually setting up the reel with the rod. We're not going to get into that on this video. I'm simply going to show you how to set it up, and for new fishermen out there that may or may not know how to do it. So you're gonna buy a left-handed or a right-handed reel when you go to the store, depending on what you feel most comfortable with. A right-handed reel, for those that don't know, merely means that you are going to crank with your right hand. A left-handed reel means that you're going to crank with your left hand. A spinning reel, it's the opposite. You would think that it would be the same, but it's not. Right-handed reel in the spinning world, you're going to crank with your left, which means you're going to cast with your right. Whole new video, different video. We'll get into that later. This is just on baitcasters. So, few components of a baitcaster reel. You have the reel handle. You have your drag. You have a spool tension knob, and you have magnetics. Newer reels, they have magnetic adjustment on it. It simply allows you, it allows the reel to make the corrections that you might have missed, or you're a little late with your thumb control. So on any baitcaster reel, whenever I pull it out of the box, I immediately set my magnetics at 50%. So some of them have a little knob right here. It will go from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10. I put it on 5. If some of them have little dots that go around, I'll just turn that knob and I'll put it right in the middle. On Shimano reels, theirs are a little bit different. It actually allows you to open the case up, and if you can see in there, there's these little bitty, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's these little bitty nipples, and you can pull them in and you can push them out. And it looks like a star in there. So every other one I pull out, every other one on the inside, I'll push in. So it goes out, in, out, in. That would give me my 50% correction. That's how I set it up. So there's your magnetics, right? I've got a cheap Rogue on here, and let me back up so you can see. So actually, let me get up here. So as you're looking at the reel, okay, and I don't know, you can see my bait. If you have your spool tension knob all the way tight, when you click the bail, okay, your bait doesn't move. As you loosen your spool tension knob, okay, you'll find that it begins to turn. When it hits the ground, your spool needs to stop. If you loosen that thing way up, it's just going to keep spinning, okay? So you reel it back up. Sometimes it takes you a couple times. Okay, let me make sure you can see my bait. Make sure you can see my spool. I click the button, the bait hits the ground, and the spool stops. That is a properly tuned reel, okay? That will get you casting, okay? That's number one. That will get you casting. Your magnetics are set in the middle. You get your spool tension to where you just open it up. When your bait hits the ground, your spool needs to stop spinning. If you loosen it up too much, you're going to find yourself with a bird's nest. If you're going out into windy conditions, you might tighten that spool up just a little bit if you're casting into the wind. If you're casting with the wind, well, the wind's going to carry your bait even further, so it's going to help you out, okay? If you're casting into the wind, you might tighten that spool tension knob up just a touch, so you're not creating, you're not getting the spool spinning faster than what the bait is traveling. Now, after you get it set up, you're going to let out, a couple feet of line, and in a lobbing motion, lobbing, which means an arcing motion, right? You're just gonna lob that bait out into the lake, okay? That's all you're gonna do. You're gonna lob it. If you zing it, you're getting that spool spinning way too fast. You're gonna lose control over it. So, real quick, let me get a little more descriptive here. You're gonna open your bail, you're gonna place your thumb on the spool, you're gonna come back, okay, and in a lobbing motion, you're gonna lob it out there and you're gonna get your thumb back on the spool before it hits the water. Now, the more times you do this, the easier it becomes. Then once you get good at it, you can start to not lob it, but you can direct it in a less arcing motion. So you can really zing it out there. Okay, you can see how far, I don't know if you can see, but I'm getting some really good distance out of this reel. And once you really get it, you can start backing off that spool tension knob, and you can start capitalizing on getting that bait even further out, where at some point you can really put some kick behind there and cover a ton of water with your reel. It's a very precise reel. It's not rocket science, but it is physics. So think about whenever you're casting, you're not putting too much force in there on your beginning stages, because if you zing it out there and you get this spool spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour, faster than what your bait's traveling, faster than what your bait's traveling,
faster than what your bait's traveling, faster than what your bait's traveling,
then you are going to have a mess. That's all there is to it. Take it easy, take it slow. You start with a lobbing action. That's going to give you plenty of time to get that thumb back on the spool. You're just going to lob it. If you find that you're getting a bunch of loose line in here, you need to tighten up your spool tension. I'm not going to get into the magnetics. Just set them at 50% and you're going to be fine. If you want to start flipping and pitching and getting into more advanced types of fishing, then I can do another video on that. Just ask me, I'll tell you more about magnetics. It's simply a corrective tool. It works like a centrifugal clutch. So the magnetic braking is, if you put it on 0 where there's no magnetic brakes, it's free spooling. Okay, so you got to be on your game. If you put it on 10, you're probably not going to get the distance because the magnets are slowing down the clutches inside the reel. So I hope this helps for new fishermen out there. Set the magnetics 50%. Spool tension needs to be set so when the bait hits the water or the ground, the spool needs to stop spinning. That's a properly set reel. When you get on the lake, arching cast, don't try to force it. Okay, if you want tips on how to get more distance with rod setup and line setup, hit me up and I'll do the best I can.